I had said earlier for some of the folks who were here in the morning session, especially when I was kind of gearing up for Kazrin and our next speaker, that if you haven't figured out yet, I am not particularly smart, and thank God we have people like Kazrin and some of the other folks who are speaking here who are doing incredible things. I was just talking to Dirk backstage, and then he started talking about, yeah, imagine being able to move at the speed of sound. And I said, come again? He said, yeah, you know, maybe close to the speed of sound. He's the CEO, co-founder of Hyperloop Transportation Technologies, and that's literally the kind of things that they're working on, and a whole lot more. He's talking about moving at the speed of sound. I could go into it a little bit further, but instead, I'll have him explain a little bit more. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dirk Ahlborn.
All right, good afternoon. As you just heard, my name is Dirk Ahlborn and I'm the CEO and founder of Hyperloop Transportation Technologies. And yeah, we always say we transform transportation at the speed of sound. Traveling at the speed of sound sounds amazing, doesn't it? So, who here knows what the Hyperloop really is? All right, I'll test you guys later. For everybody else, there's a little video here that shows you how it all started. It just gives you a little bit of a background. And after that, I'll be right back, so enjoy.
I have a name for it. Name for it, which is called a Hyperloop. Imagine a capsule filled with people, right?
You put this capsule inside the tube.
You create a low pressure environment inside the tube.
So you have no resistance.
And it's moving very fast from point A to point B. Capsule, very similar to an airplane that goes in high altitudes, can travel really fast with very little energy.
Is the main trick to it the vacuum and the fact that there's no friction? Is that the main reason why it makes it so fast?
Tesla founder Elon Musk proposed this new technology called Hyperloop, and it's being developed right now in Playa Vista, here in this hangar behind me. Company Hyperloop has teamed up with the students to create this tube technology that's designed to connect cities up to 400 miles apart.
So when Elon published the document, he just drafted a possible way to achieve this. 2 months later, my business partner, Dirk Ahlborn, took this document, published in our website, thejump.com, and did a call to action. So, how are we doing this?
We want you all to join the Hyperloop movement.
And we have been overwhelmed of requests from engineers from all over the planet. There are people from NASA, Tesla, SpaceX, Boeing, MIT.
We want to give our community that's supporting us the possibility to own parts of the company.
So we are creating the biggest outsourcing project in the planet.
The company says it already has several potential investors and wants to take Hyperloop to China in the future.
You have to consider that Hyperloop is not a new idea. Humanity tried to build this system several times in the past.
The race is on. Elon Musk's vision for a high-speed passenger pods known as the Hyperloop is one step closer to becoming reality this morning. One of the known companies competing to capitalize on Musk's proposal, announcing today it has struck a deal with landowners in Central California to build the first full-scale Hyperloop along a 5-mile stretch along I-5.
He designed a system that is not only fast, but it can actually produce more energy than it consumes.
It will change the way we live. It's possible today, it's based on existing technologies, and it's the right time, it's the right moment to finally get something doing like this.
In 30 years' time, will you and I be sitting on our rocking chairs going, well, we talked about it then, and we did it?
All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, just some of the clips from the early years. So to reiterate, what is a Hyperloop? Imagine a capsule filled with people or freight hovering inside a tube and moving really, really fast, basically just below the speed of sound from point A to point B. Inside this tube, we create a low pressure environment. So basically, we have vacuum pumps along the track that take all the air out. And now the capsule can go much faster with much less energy because it doesn't touch anywhere and it doesn't counter any resistance. The system is completely green. We're using alternative energy, solar, wind, kinetic energy through regenerative braking, and in some climates even geothermal to produce, ideally, depending on the route, more energy than we're using. This is a very important part. Why? Because you see there's actually no rail line, no metro line in the whole world that's profitable. They're all relying on government subsidies. Because we use very little energy and it's automated, our operational costs are very, very low, and we produce our own energy as well. So we can be profitable in a very short time span. But why? Why should we care about this fifth mode of transportation, or some people call it? This is why. Traffic. Traffic is one of the biggest problems that we have. We spend a lot of time in traffic. Time that, well, we could be productive, or maybe more important for most of us, we could spend with the people we care about. Actually, traffic is so important that based on where you live, you decide where you work. Think about that. In LA, where I live, you even decide who you date. Because if she lives on the other side of the city, it's not going to work out. And then we have this. Beijing on a sunny day. On a bad day, you can't even see your hand in front of your face. So now a lot of people think that this is an issue that you have in China or in India, but in real, everywhere in the world, this is a big problem. In North America, you are losing roughly 14 months of your life thanks to pollution. So it's important enough that governments around the world are now creating regulations for transportation, even so it's only a part of the pollution problem, to move transportation to green alternatives. Well, and then we have the railway industries. They're literally what we would call a dinosaur industry. They haven't changed much, if you think about it. So these are standard railway tracks. The distance between those tracks is 4 feet 8.5. Anybody here know why? Exactly, the Roman carriage. So, let's take that in for a moment. It's 2018, and we are building new infrastructure based on the butt of 2 horses. Right? That's how much innovation we have done in rail. But we could actually build systems that are better, cheaper, more efficient. And then we have, as I mentioned earlier, this problem here. So these are some numbers from the LA Metro. And in LA, they make 76 cents per passenger. And $2.50 are coming from taxpayer money. So every time someone takes a metro in LA, it costs taxpayers $2.50. Now, of course, you can say, well, everybody is taking the car, that's why you're all in traffic. And partially that might be true. But even New York, which is definitely one of the most used metros in the world, loses 82 cents per passenger, which comes out to $2.2 billion every single year. Germany subsidizes their rail network with over 22 billion euros, which comes out to $26 billion every year. And it's the same all over. So how would our lives change if we had a Hyperloop? Well, another problem that we're having are airports, right? They're overflowing. We're building more and more of them. A lot of the times they're fairly close to the city. Disturbs the people that are living there. With a Hyperloop, we could connect these airports and make them become actually terminals. One huge airport, right? We could build them much, much further out and still be there within minutes. When we talk about freight, We could have containers coming from China to Europe, for example, within hours rather than within weeks. And you know, those large container ships, they're not that great for the world either. We could literally create an on-demand economy. But most people get excited about living in one place and working in another, right? Being independent from, you know, you could live here, work in Miami, or the other way around, whatever you prefer. Cities are overflowing. You think about cities like Mumbai, Beijing, for example, you don't move, but everybody always wants to live in the city center. Now with a Hyperloop, you could actually build satellite cities, 100, 200 miles away. Connect them with a Hyperloop and be in the city center within 10 minutes. You could buy a house for much less. I mean, you know, I live in LA. If I want to have a house where I don't risk to be shot in the front yard, I have to spend at least $1 million. With this, you can actually live in a much nicer place, have much more space, and, you know, still be very connected to the city. All right, but how are we going to do this? So when we looked into the feasibility back in 2013, we looked into the economical viability, and that's exactly what I was explaining earlier. It was actually really crazy if you think about it, that railways don't make money anymore, and they were built by entrepreneurs, and some people got really rich by building them. But today, that's not the case anymore. And we also looked into the technical feasibility. It turns out the technology already exists. We know how to levitate a train. We know how to move a train. We know how to build pylons, build tubes. Actually, we have built hundreds of thousands of kilometers of tubes. We have created vacuum inside the tube. This is a picture of the particle accelerator, the CERN, in Switzerland. And the pressure inside those tubes is actually 100,000 times more difficult to maintain than the one that we are using. And the company responsible for it, well, they're actually on our team. Alternative energy is a very safe bet. It's very similar to the silicon chip. It's getting better and better every single year and cheaper. So today, in California, we know that we can cover our complete energy costs just with solar, with the latest solar technology. But tomorrow, in a couple of years, that's going to be cheaper and even better. But we're doing something else, a little bit different. We're building a company in a completely different way. And to be honest with you, this is actually the part that I'm personally most passionate about. You see, normally when you talk about a train or a metro, this is where it's happening, behind closed doors, right? I mean, here in the region, they've talked about building high-speed rail lines for quite some time, but I'm sure you guys don't really know anything about it. Maybe you heard how much it might cost, but that's kind of it. And that's exactly the point. In our case, we do something that we call crowdstorming. And this crowdstorming, it really means that we work with a community. We work with you guys. We ask questions. You see, we're in 2018. So this is a completely new technology. It's something that we can reinvent. We have the opportunity to build a transportation system the way you would do in 2018. So how would that look? We need to question everything. Do we need tickets? And not only do we need paper tickets, or are they on your mobile phone, but is a ticket the right way to make money? Is that the right business model? Or can I find another way? Because if I can find a way to make money, the more the passenger rides, no ticket becomes superfluous, right? And I would use maybe a ticket to optimize demand. And I'm thinking they're mostly about seeing transportation as a marketing and monetizing on the time the passenger spends inside the vehicle. Think about how much time you spent during your commute this morning, for example. And now, the only thing that tried to make money was the car radio. And that's not going to exist anymore once we have self-driving cars. I was on a plane yesterday for, I think, something like 7 hours. And nobody really tried to entertain me while making money with it. So we can change that. We can create new opportunities for transportation companies and create a better passenger experience. I think we all agree that traveling sucks. It's terrible. It's not really the experience that we want. We treat it like cattle. You know, the seats are getting smaller and smaller. We can do better. So we do actually a lot of work there, together with universities, startups, innovators. One of these things are our virtual and augmented windows. You see, we don't have windows inside the Hyperloop, so we had to find a solution. We're using normal screens, in this case, they can also be transparent, and head tracking, and remove the image based on where you're looking. So you actually get the feeling like you're looking outside of a real window. Now imagine being inside a train or a subway, for example, and you're going through, you know, just because maybe you can't imagine the Hyperloop, you're going through Jurassic World, Terminator Land, Jumanji, or you see Spider-Man battling Venom outside. For you, it's an experience, but for the transportation company, it's a way of generating income. And those are examples of solutions that we're looking for. So why? Why are we working like this? Why are we using crowdstorming? And well, so when Elon Musk proposed this idea, I was part of a non-profit incubator that was funded by NASA. And we were working on a new way of building businesses. You see, today we do everything online, right? You get your groceries online, you get your dry cleaning online, you can find your boyfriend, girlfriend online, and in case you need it, in the US, you can even get divorced online. But when it comes to building a business, it's still you with a friend, sitting somewhere in a bar, talking about this big problem that you want to solve. You start working on it, 6 months later you realize that nobody else really had that problem. It was mostly you, or a small group. Or you haven't figured out how to make money. But imagine having 10, 100, 1,000 people that are passionate about the same thing you are, that give you their honest opinions, their ideas, their contacts. You can build a better company. So we built a platform to do exactly that, and we launched the platform in August of 2013, around the same time as Elon Musk proposed the Hyperloop idea. And when I heard about this idea and him saying that he didn't want to do it because he was too busy with Tesla and SpaceX, we reached out. We asked for permission to put it onto the platform. And we asked our community, should we be working on this? And not only did they say, yes, you should be doing this, but they actually said, hey, I want to be part of this. So we incorporated the company, got a small team together, and said, everybody who would like to join, please apply. You're getting stock options in exchange for your work with a minimum of 10 hours per week. We got around 200 applications, got a team together of around 100 engineers, and started working on the feasibility study. Today, we're over 800 professionals all around the world, in addition to roughly 40 companies. And most of them are still working just in exchange for stock options in an augmented way, driven by passion. So I don't know how many entrepreneurs are here. Are there any raising hands? Oh wow, okay, perfect. So imagine, right, you're the CEO of a company, and you know that even if tomorrow you don't have the money, your people are still going to show up. Because that's exactly what this is. This is how it works for me. They're not necessarily driven by money. I mean, of course, they get a part of the business, but they're really, they want to do this. It gives you the opportunity to work with the best people all around the world. You can work with the best designer, even though he lives in Tokyo, rather than with a mediocre guy that lives around the corner. I mean, I've had many businesses in my life, and I always felt like I was pulling a wagon. It was every employee that I hired, this wagon became much more heavy. This is a responsibility, right? I have the responsibility for those people. This is the first time in my whole life that I actually feel like there's people pushing this wagon. It's really an amazing model. It doesn't work 100% yet, but it's 10 times better than anything else that I've done so far. There's still a lot to learn. You can read a little bit about it. It's actually a Harvard case study. And it also allows us to be what we call global. We're global, but we're also local. We have companies now, offices around the world. We're in Los Angeles, we're in Barcelona, we're opening up an R&D center in Toulouse, we're in the Emirates, we have an office in Slovakia. And in many other countries, even though we don't have an office, we still have people knowing the local, having the local efforts. I had a guy reach out to me through Facebook and saying, hey, I want you to come to Bulgaria and meet the president and the mayor of Sofia. And I did. I'd never seen this guy before. Maybe I should start to be a little bit more cautious. So, and it's not only people, as I mentioned. We have amazing companies, leaders in their fields, doing the same thing. So as an entrepreneur, one of the advice that I can tell you is, when you tell people what you do and they say, wow, that's cool, that's amazing, just tell them, join me, help me, ask for help. It works. So, Atkins, for example, is one of the leading construction engineering firms in the world. They are the ones that did the Dubai Metro. Kabouris is a manufacturer for Airbus and Boeing, doing airplane fuselages. They're manufacturing our capsule. Leibold, the inventor of the vacuum pump. I don't need to hire anybody that knows about vacuum. Imagine that. We're doing vacuum travel. I don't need to hire anybody because I have these guys. There's nobody better in the world. They have more than 30 people for us that know everything about vacuum. We came up with the overall concept. All right, but I know everybody's asking, the clock's already at 0. So when are we going to see the Hyperloop? Well, over the last 5 years, we have been very busy. Done patents, licensed technologies, we have done deals with governments around the world, and we're ready to build. Version number 1, how I call it, is ready to build. There's going to be a version, I don't know, 212 one day, but the first one is there, and it makes sense. And actually, we started building the world's first Hyperloop passenger capsule last year. It's being manufactured now at Kabouris. It's going to be ready around July, August of this year. And then it's going to go to Toulouse for assembly and integration to run first on the R&D tracks and later on the first commercial one. We're expecting to announce the first commercial track within the next 6 months. It's always difficult when you work with politicians, but we have a couple of options. And from then, it's going to take approximately 3 years until you and me, if you sign a waiver, can use the Hyperloop. But of course, I'm here and I'm telling you this is all so easy, the technology exists, we are there. There are some things that are still difficult. Regulation is actually the biggest hurdle. You see, innovation can go really fast, but regulation sometimes, the politicians, they need to move a little bit slower. So you need the governmental support. So we're working with governments around the world exactly to explore, answer all the questions, to start talking about how those regulations are going to look like. We're doing a feasibility study in the Czech Republic, a local system in Slovakia. Toulouse, the French government gave us a building for an R&D center and a 1 mile track. Quay Valley here in California, we actually have 5 miles of land. And we're doing the environmental studies, which California is a nightmare. In Indonesia, doing a feasibility study with the government. In the Emirates, we did the world's first complete feasibility study together with the local authorities and our partners. And we have Sheikh Falah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, which is the brother of the ruler of the Emirates, as our official partner and sponsor. Korea decided they're going to build a Hyperloop and created a consortium. And we are working with them to license our technology and, use the efforts wisely to maybe work on the second iteration in co-development on certain areas. Ohio, you have a little video here, you might have heard about it. Oh, sorry, I think I ruined the audio. But we announced Ohio, I think last month, Ohio to Chicago, Cleveland to Chicago. Check out the video.
Dreams come easy. Dreams of time travel, cloning woolly mammoths, and colonizing Pluto. Dreams where we zip across the country in tubes at 700 miles an hour, powered by sunlight and magnets.
5 years ago, it was literally just a dream.
The problem is, when the time comes for all those dreams to get made, the dreamers don't know where to go. To build dreams, you go to cities unafraid of work, and people known for making things. Big things like aviation, and smaller things like tanks.
The kind of talent that we have at our disposal here is amazing.
I have been in transportation and infrastructure for over 30 years.
Spent 17 years as a scientist and an executive at NASA.
I'm the chairman of the industry-based lab at Aerospace and Aviation Council.
I attended Yale University and started a career in aerospace at McDonnell Douglas.
Where do you go to make dreams, to build them with metal and glass in your own 2 hands? You go to cities like Cleveland and Chicago, Pittsburgh and Detroit, places that have had dreams and then made them.
We absolutely have the manufacturing. We have the raw materials.
We do it cost effectively. We have a tremendous amount of work ethic and really, really strong resources.
The Midwest is the place that drops a welding mask over its face and gets to work. And that's why we can't wait to build America's first Hyperloop here.
It is quite amazing to see how many partners Hyperloop Transportation Technology already has with academic institutions, with government institutions, with the private sector.
Flying 700 miles an hour through a tube using magnets and sunlight isn't a dream. It's we're building this and coming to the Midwest to do it thing. We've already got a prototype thing. Millions in funding to survey it thing. First up, Cleveland to Chicago in under 30 minutes, connecting the makers of muscle and metal and rock and brick and mortar of this country.
You're going to see Hyperloop transition from what is in the past been perhaps a dream of how fast we can go, how can we send people more quickly to different places. It will eventually become a utility.
This is something people will talk about for generations.
When your grandkids are telling you about this new cool Hyperloop train they got to be on, you can say, I was there when they just started.
So let's get to work. This thing can't wait any longer.
Yeah, Cesar did a great job with the video. But basically, it's about working with as many people, many countries, many places as possible, right? Taking it in our own hands, moving things forward. And when I started 5 years ago, you wouldn't believe how many people said, this is not going to work. Experts, right, saying, doesn't work, not possible. And we actually said, I don't know, let's check it out. And, you know, we had our team of 100 people. We didn't need anything. We didn't ask anybody for money because we had the manpower. And some sponsors who gave us the tools necessary to do what we had to do. So, even so, we love naysayers because actually they're great. They, you know, point you to areas that you should take a look a little bit closer. But I feel that, so this is kind of the answer that we're giving them. I believe that if someone tells you that something can't be done, it just means that they haven't figured out how to do it. It doesn't mean that you can't figure it out. So, you know, it's not a dream anymore. I don't get the questions anymore, does this work? Now the question is just like, when? When is this finally done? You're already working for so long on it, which is kind of fun. But we're there, we're getting ready, and well, you're all part of it. So, thank you.